This month in Poppy Loves Book Club, we're reading The Liar's Chair by Rebecca Whitney, published by Macmillan.
Today we're joined by Rebecca Whitney, who has written The Liar's Chair, and I'm going to ask her a few questions just before we start the book club. So Rebecca, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Very nice to be here.
So tell me, how did you get into writing?
I think I've always probably been a writer. I just never really took it seriously. I've done a number of other jobs over the years, and it was really when I sort of had a break when I had my kids and I didn't want to go back to my old job. And I'd always written notebooks and bits of stories and poetry and stuff, and then I sort of had some time to think about what I really wanted to do, and I started writing again then, and I did a course, and then I went, actually this is what I want to do. And so it was a big career change actually.
And did you know straight away this was the idea that you wanted, or did you have other drafts for different books?
I started a different book about 3 or 4 times actually, and that's the book that's going to be book 2 that I'm actually writing at the moment, so I've gone back to that. But no, when I started I had no idea this was going to be the book that I was going to continue, but it sort of, it just flowered or blossomed, or whatever you want to call it, yes. But I just sort of dug deeper and deeper into the characters really, and then realised that, I was really interested in writing the story of Rachel.
And how protective were you over your book? Did you allow people to read parts of it, or?
Yeah, I did a creative writing course at university, a part-time one. I went back to Sussex to do that, and that's where the book sort of started coming out, and so we would have to share stuff in the class, and then when that course finished, there was a few of us started up a writing group, so about 6 of us, and we still meet actually every sort of 3 to 4 weeks, and we share work. So it's actually, for me, it was a really important part of the process to learn to share and to get feedback, and to also sort of hear what people said and put it into action, and not be too protective. I very much felt I was still learning, and still am. I don't think a writer ever really stops. You have to always be open to criticism and to think, well, how can I be better?
So I'm going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
So imagine it's your perfect day. Mm-hmm. Where would you wake up?
In Italy, I should think, in a lovely villa somewhere in the hills, in Tuscany or something like that, yeah.
And what book would you be reading?
Ooh, gosh. Well, I don't actually read a lot of thrillers. I do read some, but I just try and read as widely as possible. What would I be reading? I'd probably be reading The Goldfinch again, because I read that recently, and if I had time, I would like to spend my time doing that again, because I love that book, so yes.
What would you be listening to?
I like silence actually. It's quite nice when I have silence. I just like the sound of the trees. There's a word for the wind going through the trees, which is called soughing, that noise when the leaves make that lovely rustling noise, and I think that and birdsong is just my most favourite relaxing noise in the world.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
I didn't know that word.
Yeah, you can't find it in many dictionaries, so maybe it's sort of like a writerly made up thing, but yeah, it's a lovely word, yeah.
And what would you be wearing?
What would I be wearing? Well, I wear jeans all the time, but I think if I was in Italy and it was hot, I'd be wearing some kind of like lovely, glamorous caftan or something. Yeah.
And a completely random question.
Yeah.
If you could have any superpower,
yes,
what would it be?
I think it would be to have a thicker skin. Not literally, obviously, but just to be able to hear and take on board criticism without it becoming so difficult.
Do you find it hard putting your book out there for the first time?
Yeah, it's become less so actually, and I can read my reviews now, the good and the bad ones, and kind of, hear them. Whereas when I got my first bad review, it was really quite upsetting. Yeah. But it's a strange thing, I think, as a writer. You kind of have to be able to hear that criticism, and you have to take it on board, but you also have to learn to kind of block it out a little bit too, because if you let that noise fill up your creative space, you'll never write anything again. So, yeah.
And I think that's with any artistic inclination.
So. Yeah.
And have you got a favourite book?
I've got several favourite books. and actually Poppy did ask me to bring my favourite book with me, so I had to sort of juggle today and think about which one I was going to bring. It's a really tough question. I think another book I would like to return to is, that I really loved when I read it, is the Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver, which just blew me away. All the different voices, so skillfully written, and it's so evocative of Africa and the era in which it was written. It's probably a toss-up between that and The Secret History by Donna Tartt.
Oh, you've named two books that I love.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, if I could write anything like one of those, I would be a very happy person. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And we'll see you next month. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
Poppy Loves Book Club is no ordinary book club. Poppy Loves Book Club sees women from all around the world, all reading the same book at the same time. And then we all come together online on the last Wednesday of every month to discuss it. The really exciting bit is often the author joins us as well, so you can post your questions to them directly. If you would like to join Poppy Loves Book Club, it's really, really easy. There are just two things you need to do. Number one, sign up. Number two, join the Poppy Loves Book Club Facebook group. Just head over to my blog, poppyloves.co.uk, and follow the links to Book Club. I really look forward to seeing you online soon.